Look, history is contested. Let's say that Cyril was a project, so Ramaphosa. Has he gotten in power and defended black economic empowerment? So far, yes, in his first term. Has he gotten in power and defended employment equity, the mechanism without which many black people could not have advanced from general worker to middle income earning South Africans?
Correct.
He didn't get there and reverse it so far. Okay. Could he have done a lot more things? Absolutely. Could Zuma have done a lot more things? Absolutely. Could Mandela and Mbeki have done a lot more things? Absolutely. So, for me, the project-ness of themselves is something great to talk about and critique, especially for us as academics. But did they advance the cause in a little and imperfect way? So far, the answer is yes.
You really believe what you're saying?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay.
Let me
Sorry, before I counter.
Okay. So let's go to 1994.
Yeah.
One, black people are excluded from electricity. Two, black people have settled space under dangerous electricity lines in urban centers because they were not allowed to settle there.
Yeah.
Under former dump sites where they're exposed to methane gas, under floodplains. This ANC government, which I am very critical of,
Yes.
has delivered over 3 million houses, which are no longer under dangerous electricity lines, which are no longer under areas where they're exposed to methane gas and floodplains.
Yes.
And I can say this because I've worked in government. Now, also, they have done, I mean, look at KZN, big Dubai Port investments, expansions in the Durban port.
Sure.
If you go to the Eastern Cape, a new deepwater port, multi-billion rand investment, new deepwater port, special economic zones, Kucha, East London, the school infrastructure program. I know of this because the organization I first worked in at Kucha Development Corporation built competencies to roll out infrastructure and started offering that to the public sector. And as I've seen upgrades of hospitals, I've seen the delivery of primary healthcare facilities.
Sure.
You know, so and then you look at housing. There's the RDP, which is for low-income earners. Then there's the finance-linked individual subsidy program, which is run by government, right? For the too rich for RDP, too poor for the mainstream bond on
is that low-cost housing?
This is so low cost. This is affordable housing.
Is it called affordable housing?
Yeah, somewhere between RDP and mainstream.
No, I know these things. Or tough. And all these, I'm trying to, when they speak low-cost housing, are they speaking that or are they speaking RTP?
So that's another category. That's social housing.
Social housing, affordable housing, low-cost housing.
Social housing is yet another policy instrument. FLISP is for black people accessing property markets.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter what type of housing, as long as you are within that price bracket, right? At some stage, it was as long as you were between $5,000 and 16,000 monthly income, you could get up to 100,000 from government when you are buying a house. And then also there's the social housing which you are talking about. The availing of decent rental stock, mainly closer to working areas, through developers that are funded by government to develop that rental stock and avail it to, again, that too poor for RDP. Too rich for RDP.
Too poor for
a bond even. And can't even leverage FLISP. And then a whole lot of, I talk in my PhD about these ones. We take for granted progressive taxation system. The idea that the rich get taxed more than their lower income counterparts. South Africa is ranked by Oxfam as among the leading countries from a redistributive tax policy perspective. Okay, then you go to the ATTP program, the Assistance to the Poor program, where municipalities can apply to national government for grants to allow the poor, who have got now RDPs, houses and others, to get particular free kiloliters of water. I don't know, I think also of sanitation and okay, electricity is not, it's also part of that regime.
So the indigent.
Yeah,
those indigent programs where you get free electricity a certain amount.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now you have all of these, which inadvertently, as society moves, those become the base that you take for granted.
Yeah.
And then we want more. Okay.
So I've actually I argued this last week or the week before. This tax, is it not a form of redistribution of wealth? But no one frames it in that way. Sorry.
Two things.
Sorry, I took you off your track. I just wanted to speak on the text.
No, it's still on top. So
okay.
In two ways. One, from a section of society, it's been increasingly becoming also black. In fact, it's become also black for a long time.
Yeah.
To another section of society. So our dependency ratio in South Africa is very high, which is why we have the black tax phenomenon.
Sure.
Okay. So from individuals to individuals, but also from a geographic perspective under the Division of Revenue Act. Now, for you to see the redistributive power of DORA, go to a country where there's fights about fiscal federalism. I was doing work in South Sudan recently, where there's arguments about how much contribution should oil-generating states make to those that are non-oil generating, as far as revenue sharing mechanisms and stuff.
Why are people in Gauteng subsidizing the Eastern Cape and Limpopo?
Yes.
And Northern Cape?
Yes. And our policy, Division of Revenue Act, allows a use of population and a tax base of regions to be able to redistribute the money. And indeed, the argument for it is strong, because to build Gauteng, you had to destroy the Eastern Cape. You had to destroy KZN. It's not unrelated. This is the history that you had to destroy the mechanisms, the independent economies of the different people that were living in South Africa.
Including the Bantustans?
Yes.
Do you think they were also destroyed for that reason?
Before the Bantustans were created.
Okay.
So in the early diaries of settlers in South Africa, among some of the entries are, this is such a terrible place to find laborers. Because we were not about laborers.
Of course.
Right? We've got an independent economy. Now, to create a pool of mass laborers, you needed to destroy intentionally the economies that black people survived in. So now don't come and tell me about an Eastern Cape migrants problem, when in fact this was a deliberate creation of mining, industrial and agricultural capital in South Africa. It's a historical question. Yes, indeed, there was many ways in which we should have been better stewards of the democratic period. And I think that there was a time that there was intentionality about this. In fact, throughout the 30 years, there's been some intentionality about doing some things, and a lot of things have been done. Am I saying the ANC or any of the presidents of the ANC are the best thing since iPhone or whatever? Certainly not. Do I see space for more politicians to come in and build from where we are? Absolutely.